welcome to this edition of Pilot Review Show. Now, we have got a little different setup going this afternoon, and you can blame Windows 10. Right now, I'm speaking to you, Microsoft. You have fucked up my shit. This update is terrible. You've broken our broadcasting equipment. You've made Artie lose half of his hair, and you've made Chris lose his immersion. So, you're fired, Microsoft. Anyway, let's get on with our show. Of course, I am joined by Darkblade.
What's happening?
I am joined by TeacherKirby.
Hey, how's it going, folks?
-5 for Hufflepuff.
Hey, but I'm in Slytherin tonight.
Yeah, we're getting to them. They're going to be like -50. We're joined by Artie.
Hello.
And tonight I do have a guest with me. I play STO with him all the time. His name is Neela. Say hello, man.
What up, all?
And the reason he is here is what we're going to start talking about first on the Pilot Review Show is we've got console coming out. You know, it's already been out, and we've got our first major event hitting. I play on PlayStation 4. He plays on Xbox One. It's a tough life. We can't play the game together. It's terrible. But we had Crystalline Catastrophe. Crystalline Cataclysm. That big damn snowflake that keeps coming back even though we kill it. That event has happened on consoles this weekend, and the first major prize from that is the Crystalline Anti-Proton Torpedo. So everybody on console is grinding for what can be considered a very valuable torpedo to have on an AP build. I'm working on a build right now to incorporate it. But let's talk a little bit, Neela and Chris, if you've been playing it, what you've been seeing from the Crystalline event, because so far I've done 3 normals, and I've done 1 advanced, even though I am a little low geared for it. But we still succeeded on all 4 of them. It just is a very slow progression. I mean, what have you seen so far, Neela?
I've seen where people are focusing on the Tholians first and clear them, and then going after the crystal. I've seen where people just go in, attack it. No problem on normal, easy peasy, take that out. Advanced is where it gets tricky because no one has high enough gear yet to actually do enough damage.
Yeah, I mean that's what I recorded when I did my video showing it off. I haven't uploaded it yet. It's coming, but I'm only level 54, and I'm using Mark 11 disruptors, and I know that I'm probably not well geared for it. And I think the first advanced I ran, it took the entire group, including myself, probably a good 4 to 5 minutes, and with the half of that group under level 60. So you've got a lot of people that are under-leveled and definitely under-geared compared to what we've used to be seeing normally on PC. But at least, simple fact is, a lot of people are learning to, since you're not that well geared, to back off from the Crystalline Pulse, and we're still succeeding on the matches, including the optionals.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Have you seen any... What have you seen, Chris? I know you started to play it a little bit.
I've been playing a little while. I'm still not high enough to where I can run it yet. I have been catching some reports of, I would say, mixed reactions, so to speak. Some people have had problems with it, some people haven't. So I would say, at the moment with the current gear level everybody's at, it's kind of hit and miss. You might get a good group, but at the same time, you might get one where it takes 20 years to kill it too. So you gotta kind of play your cards right and hope you get something good.
Well, and that's kind of what we ran into when Delta Rising first hit. We had level 50 and level 60 content. I mean, you know, that first advance that we all played in Delta Rising, it must have taken us, average 20 minutes to kill that Crystalline, and that was if you had a good group. If you didn't have a good group, you could never kill it in that first run of Crystalline because of its health regen.
Brutal.
Backing up the way it was, so there were some runs where you'd be in there for 2 hours, you couldn't kill it at all. That's what I'm saying. So far on PlayStation 4, I've seen that they've actually had a fairly good run at it, but it is going to take time before we start seeing times as fast as we do on PC. and that's just because we only have probably 1/8 of what we're used to on PC, if that. So, I don't know, I'm just glad that all three of us have seen, mostly good success on this run, which is going to be a busy month for us. I mean, we've got Tholian Red Alert coming, bonus experience. We actually have a Mirror Invasion weekend. And I wonder how they're going to play out. Maybe they'll bring back the old Mirror Invasion and I can be happy.
I hope so.
Oh, that would make my day. That would make my day. But overall, Neela, you showed me some clips from Crystalline on Xbox. You sent those to me. What else, since we're talking about console, what other big changes have you noticed that have come out recently since launch that you've really enjoyed as far as fixes or just random changes they've made?
The biggest fix or change I've seen was when you're in aim mode on ground, you couldn't move, but now you can move while you're in aim mode. So you're not just a static target.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's definitely... I haven't done a lot of ground on... I mean, the only ground I've really done would be just your missions, and that's just really just kind of try and breeze through it as quick as I can. I finally am at the Dyson sphere, so I can do Dyson ground. I guess that's one way I'm going to be able to play around with it.
Dyson ground, I just did a couple runs of it an hour ago, and I have to say it's more fun on console than it is on PC.
Really?
It's kind of like a first-person shooter almost.
Well, that's good to hear then. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, like sometimes you stop because your abilities that you have on auto activate, but other than that, it's really not too bad.
Yeah, I've noticed that sometimes if in the middle of combat I'm trying to run, and all of a sudden I'll kind of skate because I'm auto-activating, so for a moment you're activating something or throwing a grenade and you're skating along the ground. But yeah, I've liked having a lot of that stuff on auto on ground. It does help me remember to actually use some stuff. But at the same time, it's helpful with PC because I'm trying to actually use all of my abilities. Because that time I just go in there and fire my weapon. So, I don't know. What have you seen so far, Chris? What are some of the things you're liking about playing console? What are some of the limitations or problems you've seen?
Well, one of the big things that I see that eventually, in my case, could be an issue is when I get to the higher ranks, where I like to activate a lot of my tank abilities, like on the PC, activate them when I need to. Since I am running off of a radial dial, essentially, I could see that potentially becoming an issue at some point. Perhaps maybe activating a super strong heal when I don't want it to, but rather just activating say, an engineering team. But that, to me, would be one of the limitations to watch for, but overall, it's a lot simpler with ground, and a lot simpler with some of the space combat as well. Pretty much just, for lack of a better way of saying it coming to mind, you just hit it and forget it.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, it's been really good to automate builds, and I think that's going to be one of the, I guess, growing metas for consoles, since you can automate so much that you're not really going to have to worry about activating a whole lot unless you really want to micromanage. But just being able to automate things when they go off as all the powers from PC get to console, I think it's going to be really easy to do builds and easier for the average player to get everything auto-activated, I guess, more or less at the right time, if they're setting it up the right way. And there might be some delay there, but it'll probably be able to, if the timers are lining up, everything's activating at the right time, I guess is the best way to put it.
It's going to be good, too, because you're going to have, at the same time, an added benefit of this is people are going to be able to focus more on their piloting, more on their positions, without having to worry so much about, okay, do I have this ability up, do I have this ability up? And I think once people master it, you're going to see a lot smoother runs, a lot easier learning curve with the consoles than perhaps what we have even on PC.
Well, I mean, this is a lot of the reasons that on PC we talk about keybinds. And this is what a lot of people like about keybinds is it does basically the same thing as what you're talking about with the automation on the consoles. So.
Yeah, PC click. I'm okay with clicking.
Same here.
I'm okay with clicking.
Guilty of using some Logitech keypads and stuff. I will straight out admit that.
Yeah, I'm okay with clicking. I get plenty out of my ships by clicking. But on console, for the average player, especially with the ones that are just coming in because they haven't been able to play because they haven't had a PC at all, having that level of automation for them and being able to customize when it happens to some degree, I can definitely see that helping them where they're focusing more on where they're at and trying to maximize targets and everything. And then having it where, you can have in combat when you're targeting something, you can have auto fire, but you can have it where you select when your torpedoes go off as a manual. And that's an automatic thing because it's set to its own particular key is good. Because at least you can select when it goes. It's not you set everything to auto fire, you have to worry about it. The beams are on manual until you hit a target, and then they go to auto. And same with the torpedoes. So at least you can start off with your beams and then fire for your first torpedo whenever you need it, for the case of the crystalline torpedo. I have noticed there are some graphical glitches, though. I've reported them to you, Chris. Like, past imperfect. You turn a corner and then you lose the entire texture until you pass a certain doorway, and then the textures return. And then lighting in general, a lot of it's good, but there are a couple things that are meh. So, overall, though, I think it's been a good launch. And while we are talking about console, there is a costume sale going on right now on our consoles. So, you just started and you're now looking at a uniform. Might want to go out there and grab one.
I know I have.
I know you have.
Mm-hmm.
Always when I don't want to spend money, they do this. They know.
I know.
I'm telling you, they
Yeah.
know.
They know.
Yeah, the only
They
thing
did.
I can really think is an issue is not being able to see the buffs and debuffs.
And see, that's the big thing, is what I'm hoping for console is it's irritating because you don't know what buff or debuff, like, you're used to seeing your buffs on timers, you're used to seeing your debuffs that you've been hit with, you're used to seeing what the enemy has buffed themselves with or been debuffed with, and you can't see any of that on console. So you're not entirely sure if your disruptors have debuffed the target, or if it has a plasma dot, unless there's a graphical element to it. You're not entirely sure when things are on and off unless you're keeping a manual count of things. And I guess that's because, for me as a PC player, I'm used to seeing that. So I know the moment my target has a disruptor debuff on it because of the icon. But I do think that would be helpful for players that are playing console, so they can actually see if they've debuffed the target or how it's being affected, what they're buffing up for, that kind of thing, especially if you're going into PvP. Because that would help you, maybe give you a second or two when you're watching a target, know what they're buffing up with before they hit you. So there are some things for console that need to be ironed out, including the lighting. Lighting is good, for the most part. I will say as a disclaimer, if you're playing on Tribble, and you're getting a direct 3D crash, that's the new graphics and lighting updates. So just bear with them. I'm doing this as a PSA before we go on to our next topic. I've had it myself. It has to do with all the new lighting and the graphics, and they've added in the 23rd century weapons. Those do take into account with the lighting and the graphics and everything. And that was something that has been discussed with the devs. If you're seeing a direct 3D crash, it is because of all the lighting changes on PC. They're trying to iron that out now. That's why they're giving such a lead time between the moment it hit Tribble and the moment it goes live on holodeck. So don't get discouraged if you can't log on because of crashes. More than likely, it's the lighting aspects they've added in are affecting graphics cards and your computer in general, loading it up. So just be mindful of that. I've already seen that on the forums. I've seen that in the Facebook groups, and I've seen the crash myself. So they're working on it. I can promise you that. Speaking of PC, though, we did have release notes for PC for the 28th. As my friend Link flies by in his Kelvin Timeline Constitution class. Hey, Link, how's it going? Good buddy from Triforce of Courage. We've got release notes, so I'm going to start with Neela, since you are the guest. Guess what? Spotlight's on you first. What are some of the things that stand out in those patch notes to you for PC?
For me, seeing the known issue of the Aquarius.
You have to bring up that ship.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to specify that it is not the graphical issue. It is a item that you can't put on the Aquarius.
Which, as I'll note, Artie is flying the Aquarius, and look, there's the gap still. Right there. Right there. Okay. Zoom back out.
Well, at least he doesn't fly a Kirby that has no hull, and it's just windows.
Which is funny, because on console,
jeez.
someone has that, and it's not invisible. So on console, it is the skin is proper. You see the way it's supposed to be, but on PC, it's hollow.
Well, for me, I haven't claimed a new one yet because it's the fleet version.
Yeah.
So that's probably why, because they probably fixed it. I just haven't changed it.
Yeah, I know on consoles, I've seen one, and you can't see through that one. It's got its regular textures, so maybe they're seeing that it works on console and trying to figure out how to patch that over. Chris, anything that you've reported recently has gotten fixed in the patch notes, and if not, something that stands out to you?
Well, I see a couple of things that people were talking about. One specifically for our ground players. Resolved an issue that caused head trauma entries to stack up to 50 times. So if potentially the way that was working, you got one copy of head trauma and then it would just keep stacking until it hit 50, and, well, your brain was pretty much on the ground over there splattered. Then a few more, such as the matter antimatter specialist triggering when they weren't supposed to. Then, let's see, where's that other one I'd seen? Where is it? The 23rd century level up sound effects. I know that was an issue for some people. And then the contribution window for me was kind of annoying, but thankfully they've got some of those fixed.
Yeah, I saw a couple of those. Having head trauma stacked at 50, that's insane.
Yeah, it is.
Bigger by 10, you'd kind of look like Neela.
Shots fired!
Alright.
Wow.
Kirby,
That's-
anything stand out to you?
Let's see. Players can now see other players at handle in the private queue window. Nice. Like if you're trying to figure out somebody pops in unexpectedly, you're trying to figure out if that's one you invited and don't recognize the name. That'll help. Let's see. Resolved an issue where the grammar would be incorrect for the message was displayed when demoting a fleet leader. As a teacher, yay! Just, yeah. Let's see. Pounce trait was affected by kit performance. That's been fixed. And sponsorship tokens. Let's see. Corrected icons from the sponsorship tokens for 8472, Terran Task Force, and Temple Defense Initiative. Those are the ones that stick out. And some display names for Iconian and Undine alt sets. They'll now say energy weapon and heavy turret instead of specifying.
Alright.
But those are the ones that stick out to me.
Artie, I know you kind of look at these, and I don't even know what you look for when you look at these. But what's something that stands out for you? Was there anything that you were looking forward to get fixed besides your, Aquarius?
Well, not really, but I did notice there's a large chunk in the character fix section. They fixed a lot of the Kelvin uniforms, especially when they added the Kelvin Starfleet Admiral badge. It can now work on the normal uniform. They've also fixed how it doesn't it allows the Bajoran ranks to appear on them. Or they resolved that issue anyway. The other thing is, of course, we're always going to run into something that clips with something else. So they fixed the male's minor long sleeve that used to clip through some of the captain's necks. So it's just a normal fixing the clipping issues.
Well, still, for a lot of people that like to make for sure their uniforms look crisp, having these things fixed is a definite good thing. And, we do a lot of RP study with what you do, and I'm pretty sure those role players out there trying to do their stories don't want anything clipping through the uniform and messing with their immersion.
Of course.
So that's always a good thing. It's always a good thing.
Yeah, I have to add though, they need to bring more color options for the KDF. Like, really?
What, black, brown, and red isn't good enough?
No.
Well, I heard, and I was talking to Joe and Nick from STO last night on Triples and Ecstasy, and they were talking about one of the questions that did come out when it comes to costumes. I think Artie might get a kick out of this one. One of the questions came up of potentially allowing the reputation armors to be mixed and matched was the first half of the question. So being able to have, let's say, the Mako helmet, but have the counter command armor on the chest, and then maybe temporal defense legging, like actually piecing them out so that you can mix and match the armors, because maybe there's a combination of a couple of armors that when you put them together, it's perfect in your eye. They said that has been a possibility. It's on the drawing board, along with being able to change the color schemes. For example, adding to the Mako armor the glow that we're used to seeing on the Mako shield in space. So having that Tron-like pin mark going along the armor. So they've actually been looking into trying to do more for your ground characters, for the armor, for the costumes, giving more lighting options. It's something that's on the drawing board, and they really didn't go into much detail past that, but it is something that they would like to work on because they know a lot of people would like to see it. So I figured I'd mention that for you, Artie.
Well, now you told me. Now they really got to do it.
Like I said, I figure I'd mention it. You get artists on there and you talk about an artist question. They loved to answer that one. So, yeah, it was very fun. Very fun.
Can't wait.
Moving on to news, we've got one announcement, but I'm going to do another one because it's kind of quick. And the quick one is, of course, this weekend, you all already know, it is bonus experience. Get out there, run your sector patrols and all your queues, and queue up your Admiralty missions. Get your temporal assignments that you can queue up. Get all those rolling. Get as many spec points as you can get this weekend, so you can level up your alts. Get that Agency Yesterday tune that you made leveled up with as many spec points. This is the weekend to do it. So get to it. Speaking of Agency Yesterday, though, and I'm intrigued already. New, I guess, addition is the way we'll call it, because there's been conjecture over season version expansion and all the wording and all that. I'll call it an addition. That's about the best way to put it. Agency Yesterday Artifacts. It's launching in less than a month. Launching this month, as a matter of fact. So we've got it on the 25th. There will be artifacts. That was stated last night. There will be artifacts. So the name is not a title only. We're actually looking for artifacts of some nature. It's stated we're dealing with the Lucari again, and this is a story arc that would take us into next year, well into next year. So they're extending the agency of yesterday, probably going to deal with our new tunes a little bit more, so it's probably going to be geared a little bit more towards the new tunes, but still have elements that tie in if we're playing it on our regular run-of-the-mill 6-year-old tunes, or however old the old ones are for you. I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts? Because we also, with this, we have K13, which
Yes.
so far what I've seen and I've been able to test on Tribble, I like what they've added. We have the lighting changes hit as well, which hopefully they fix that by then. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of people crashing
Yes.
on Holotech. Minus 5 points for Gryffindor. Or Slytherin. Is it Slytherin? It's Slytherin.
I'm in Slytherin tonight. Yeah.
It's Slytherin. Okay. So, my first question goes to Artie with this. And I think I know he knows where I'm going with this. How
I think so.
excited are you knowing that there are multiple options for 23rd century / late 23rd century, around that era, original series, motion picture era, that now you're going to have era-specific fleet weapons. So your ships are going to have weapons that look exactly like they came from that era, and because of the mods, they're actually really good weapons.
Honestly, I really love having these weapons. I've been trying to, redo a lot of the old, the Agents of Yesterday missions just to try to get some of these items and then upgrade them. And now that they're going to come out with, when they come out with artifacts, I'm so excited. I have so many of these temporal ships that we've been getting, just ready to get get the TOS phasers on there, and I'm even ready for trying to get an old Klingon D7 ready for that sort of stuff as well. For ground characters, I'm excited that they've come out with even some modified weapons by the looks of it, because in TOS we never really saw anything sort of a cannon of sorts. So I'm happy to see that they have something like that, and I just can't wait to try to use any of it myself.
Well, I mean, hell, they've got different options for phasers and disruptors from that era, and they even, one or two of the references I didn't catch them. I'm having to watch the old episodes to catch, but the Kliget, which kind of looks like a ninja star. I just watched that episode recently, and you have that now as a kit module. That's actually really nice. That's kind of cool. You have Nomad. You can call upon Nomad. Like, that's awesome.
Same thing with the M5 computer stuff.
Yeah. It's been really cool to see all that. And then the base itself. What did you think about K13 itself? Have you gotten a chance to be on Tribble and be in the middle of that station?
Sadly, Tribble doesn't work for me, but I've been happy to have plenty of people that have loaned videos of it. I've seen basically every inch of the of K13. I love it to hell. Honestly, it's really well done. Just with how everything's set up, with how each room basically is. Even look through the window to see some of the artifacts that you may see along the way, just sitting in the background. I just find it so spot on, like as a good throwback towards TOS. Like I think you saw Nomad in there. You see quite a few different weapons leaning up against the walls. It's just great. And from when you first see it, when you first get the base back, it's all in shambles. And then for final tier, it's all built up back into pristine condition. I can't really explain it. It's really hard to put into words. It's just really great.
This was the reaction a lot of people said they would have when someone who was into that era would say. So you pretty much hit it on the head. Because when the art department did this, and I told them this last night, when the art department went about making the interior of this, I swear they were using era-specific 1966 wood and cardboard because it looks exactly the way it's supposed to. It really, they hit the nail on the head, both in its destroyed form and its pristine form. Just the level of detail is pretty much flawless. So we know that's going to look amazing. Rest of you guys, what do you think? I mean, you've seen some of these consoles come out, the engineering consoles. I kind of want to try the weapons, ground weapons. You've got new kits. You've got upgradable traits. What are your thoughts on this?
I thought it was quite interesting. They've given us improved versions of a lot of the personal traits that they recently gave us to begin with, and some of the old ones that we've had for ages and ages. So I'd like to test those out, get my hands dirty with them, which I'll be doing probably starting Monday. And then they've also given us, I'm really anxious to try some of the new TOS stuff. It looks like it's going to be fun. And then, the ground stuff like the Staff of Landru and all that kind of stuff. And I've heard that Nomad is Loot Critter's favorite toy. It looks spot on. So that's going to be interesting to see. And then all the people that were, I forgot to grab all the 23rd century manuals before I left the old Earth space dock. Well, you're going to get a chance to get them again. We've seen the 23rd century manuals available, through the K-13 base, so there's a way for you to get them again, so relax. You can stop, having aneurysms over it, trying to figure out how to get back to the 23rd century ESD. So those are going to be available. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Kind of can't wait for having an actual fleet build, like fleet consoles, fleet weapons, and do build like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those sexiness engineering consoles.
Well, that was my thought entirely. Was we're typically all using Spire consoles. If we're using fleet consoles, we're typically all using Romulan plasma explosions, or if we're experimenting, we're also using Crenums. But you're using fleet consoles. The only ones that typically a lot of people do the Universal is engineering. Well, now you have some that, to me, they have pretty decent mods on, and your fleet weapons are finally pretty damn decent. If you go back to some of the old metas from before Delta Rising, some of them included the Elite Fleet Plasma Integrated Warp Core. Some of them included the Elite Fleet Resilient Adaptive Shield. So all you'd have to do really is get a Fleet Deflector, a Fleet Impulse Engine, and these new engineering consoles. You could do a pure fleet build, and I'm kind of curious. I want to test it. I'm pretty curious. I want to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Because the combinations are pretty nice. My favorite one right now is the hull pin and power transfer rate. And considering that these engineering consoles also give a passive cooldown reduction on all bridge officer abilities, that's kind of a nice console. Especially if you're testing out just one, or if you're stacking 3 or 4. That might be something for, just any player to at least try out at least once, just to test out how it works for the build.
Yeah, definitely.
Chris, what do you think? You've got old school weaponry. You've got these new consoles. From your tanking and damage perspectives, what are you seeing with these new consoles? First off.
Well, they definitely have some interesting combinations. For me, of course, you've got the ones that do give passive bonuses, so if you're somebody that likes to incorporate armors, such as neutroniums or the Trillium D-plating into your tank, that's something that you're going to want to consider. There was one, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, it had the armoring like from a neutronium, and I want to believe that it had it was either a shield boost or power transfer. I don't remember exactly which it had.
The 3 would be shield hardness, the hull pin, or hull regen.
I think that's what I'm thinking of is the hardness, the shield hardness thing. But yeah, needless to say, it could boost your shields, perhaps give some extra hull regen ability, perhaps, and at the same time, it's giving you that, it's providing you a cooldown reduction to your buff abilities. That's not going to be something to sneeze at and to turn away easily. I think it's going to have uses as far as to how many tanks would use them. That, to me, would remain to be seen until I actually get my hands on the consoles. But, as well, since on my Temporal Agent I do have a JJ Enterprise, or a JJ Constitution, being able to deck that thing out in old-school phasers would be pretty legit, too.
And see, that's what I'm looking at, because they give you the single beam variety and the twin beam variety, so you can have both looks. You can have 2 separate builds, or you can mix and match them. So that's pretty nice. But for the traits, now you've seen a list of them, and I can say that they are a 50% increase. If you're getting the superior traits for your personal space or personal ground, it is a 50% increase in the stat on what it offers. For example, beam training. It's a trait that they recently gave us the past few months. Normally it's 5%, but if you buy the superior version, it is 7.5%. You're getting a 50% increase in that value, and that goes for defense and accuracy and pistol training on the ground and the other options. What do you think about that kind of an upgrade when you're looking at just not just your tank build, but in general, Chris? When you're looking at mechanical increases on these traits, you know, you think people are going to be really excited about this, or are they looking at it going, it's another trait that with this increase it could have unforeseen consequences?
I think it could be a little of both in that case. I think some people are going to be seeing unintended consequences, because when you think about what we have now versus what we could potentially have, an additional 50% increase, that can be a pretty big number. Such as for tanks, that's going to be essentially 15% defense that you're getting for free just by slapping that on. You don't have to do anything for it, it's just there. That, especially if, say, for example, you're flying an escort, and you have that on there. Because escorts naturally are a lot harder to hit than a cruiser, so if you've got that on there on top of that, that's gonna get pretty nasty pretty quick. So I could see a lot of benefits. I can also see perhaps some unintended consequences. So it's something that I think in time, perhaps if there are any issues like that, they'll make themselves known, probably fairly quickly. But overall, I think it's going to be good.
And I do like that it's limited. It's not, because they picked ones that we would get from just leveling that are offered for free. But they didn't pick all of them. They picked out certain ones. So you're not going to have the option of all the ones they gave you. For example, Operative. They give you Operative, which is 1% crit chance, 2% crit severity. And I noticed they didn't give us a superior upgrade for that one. So I think they tried to make for sure that the ones they picked was a mix. A small mixed bag of what you could select. And I think that's actually a good thing, because you don't want to just be able to upgrade everything to superior and all that. Plus it does leave the option if they want to add to this store, or if through another means to upgrade others to superior, it's still an option on the table in a later time and place. So I do think that's actually a really good option. What did you think, and this is a question for everybody, the new K-13 Survival Bridge Officer trait, which is dependent on which profession the bridge officer is. Has anybody seen that one?
Not yet.
Don't believe I have either.
For anybody that hasn't
I'll
seen
definitely.
it, for a tactical, they have K-13 Survival Tactics. It is plus 10 accuracy and plus 10 defense on your tactical bridge officer. On an engineer, it is plus 10 impulse expertise, and I believe plus 10 power transfer rate. And then on your science, it's an astrophysicist, basically. Plus 10 control, plus 10 drain.
Shut up and take my money.
And those
Yeah.
are bridge officers. Now, they're going off the same prices as our Crinums, so you're looking at 160,000 fleet credits and about 34,000 dilithium.
They're proud of those.
Damn.
Then you have the androids, Andrea and Dr. Brown. They're both engineers, and they have 15 for their impulse and power transfer rate. So they get a little bit more for engineering. But those are the new traits, and I can see people having uses for them. I mean, they're pricey for what boosts they give, and there are probably better options out there. But I could see if someone's going for a theme, at least some people might be able to get some kind of a boost out of them. It's going to just depend on what they're trying to do with the build, and it does give you some variety if you're just trying to try out random stuff, because you might have had the same bridge officers and the same traits on there for 3 years. You might want to try something different, see how something different works. So, I mean, at least there's that. We did speak on the bridge officer manuals from the 23rd century. The disclaimer for that is, each one, right now, regardless of its level, is 100,000 fleet credits. And there's a dilithium price on there as well. I believe it's like 15 or 20, if I remember correctly. So, yes.
25, I think.
Yeah, something like that. But where you're looking at 100,000 fleet credits and 25,000 dilithium for 23rd century Tractor Beam 1, Tractor Beam 2, or Tractor Beam 3. It's 100,000 and 25,000 apiece. So,
Yeah.
you have the option, yes. But at the same time, it's going to be pricey. Especially if you're going for a themed build where you want your original series or motion picture era vessel to have the themed weapons and to have, when they activate a bridge officer power, a themed look. Now, I know some people are still going to go for it regardless. They're going to save up for it and they're going to get it. But just be mindful, it is costly right now, and I'm kind of hoping that they level out the prices based on the level of the ability. Just so that, you know, if it is 100,000, it's for level 3, but for level 2 it's 50, and level 1 it's 25, so it makes sense. But just be mindful, you have them, just costly.
I would consider it a dilithium sink, personally, but again, that's just me.
Well, it's not just the dilithium sink, because the
It's a-
dilithium sink is by far pales in comparison to the fleet credit sink, because the dilithium is 1/4 of the fleet credit cost. So they might be able to get some dilithium out of you, but they're getting a hell of a lot more fleet credits out of you in the long run doing that as well. I mean,
Thank God.
you figure if you're just buying 4 abilities, yeah, they're getting 100,000 dilithium out of you, but they're getting 400,000 fleet credits as well. That can add
Right.
up very quickly.
Very fair point.
Just like the bridge officers. Yeah, they're 34,000 dilithium and all that, but they're also 160,000 fleet credits. That can add up quickly if you're testing out builds, even if you're just buying one of each. So, you know, when people say dill sink, yeah, they're getting dilithium from you, but they're getting a lot more fleet credits from you than they are dilithium. They're making for sure that gets bled dry if you're buying a lot of these things. So overall, though, I think we've got a general consensus. We're liking what we're seeing. There's some things that we've got to test. There's some things that might need to be worked out just a little bit. Just a small amount. Especially lighting and the new graphical changes. Because if it stays in its current version, we're going to see a lot of issues with people trying to log on. And we don't want that. We want to be able to, at launch, it's hitting. So if you're seeing a bug on Tribble, you're getting a crash from Direct 3D, you're having issues, not only do the error message submit that it gives you, go ahead if you can, take pictures, do mini videos, submit them, get them to Chris, get them to one of the other bug hunters, just so that we can get those hammered out, so that when it does launch, there might be bugs, but it's a lot smoother than what it is now. Because there is a lot of elements that could potentially have a bug and could go wrong. And the more we hammer out before then, the less likely we're going to have a rocky start to artifacts. Just be mindful of that, everybody. Let's move on to our budget builds corner. Now, this week I don't have one. I've been working on some stuff, and me and Artie are working on some builds as well. We've got a few ideas we're working on, and we're going to be able to submit those as we go. This week, however, I wanted to talk about one that, when it came out, people gave it some shit. They were like, oh, no, because it goes against a normal playstyle. And it was Darkblade's Aquarius mid-budget tank. Now, you know, it's one thing to tank in the game. Yeah, the game's not really built for tanking, and I do kind of joke with Chris about it some, but he knows what he's doing. And it's great PvP matches when we hit him face off, but he can have that role in tanking. And it was part of the challenge, make the Aquarius tank. And now he can even do it on a budget, which has been nice, as he flies it in the Pixie. And it caught a lot of shit for some reason when it came out. Got a lot of dislikes on YouTube and everything. And I thought it was kind of cool, because he made what is considered the squishiest starship in this game. He made it a tank where it could actually survive and hold threat in an instance. So Chris, it's your build, it's your baby. Do some talking on it.
Alright, basically, for the Aquarius, it was pretty much a dare. We were sitting around having one of our bull sessions like we do. And we were saying, I was coming up with ideas for possible budget tanks. And it was actually our fellow co-host, Scott Ross, that suggested the idea of a Fleet Aquarius, because that was the ship with the lowest amount of hull that we could possibly find. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I'll take it out, I'll test drive it, I'll see what could happen, and everything. And it ended up performing quite a bit better than what I expected. I went with the mid-budget because I wanted to try to see what could be done in that range and kind of get some ideas. The trait that I ended up picking up, the entire build for my mid-budgets, they assume that you have 30 million EC maximum spending limit, and also enough dilithium to get one item to epic quality. So usually on the ship, you're only going to see one item that's at epic, and in that case, I chose the Plasmonic Leech, which I should actually put on so you can see here in the video. But yeah,
which, if you're watching on Twitch, you're not seeing this.
Yeah.
So this is where you'd want to watch the YouTube version later, because he is going to actually show you the build live on the screen. I can't do that because I can't hack his account.
Well, he could try, but well, kind of illegal in that kind of thing.
You know? Yeah, kind of, just slightly.
Yeah, it's frowned upon. But anyway, for this particular build, the entire thing only ran me about, I think it came up to around 24.6 mil. I bought a ablative shell trait, I bought a plasmonic leech, and then I did pick up some of the Polaron consoles from the exchange, which they're blue quality Mark 12s. And the reason I picked those up is because they were fairly cheap, only about 25k EC a pop. Now, if you're somebody that does not want to purchase consoles, even at that price, you can. I don't exactly remember the mission name off the top of my head. It's in the Klingon arc if you're Federation, and very early on, and it will give you a Mark 11 green quality just plus beams. I went with the Soul Defense set for the tanking, obviously. I kind of go over a lot of that stuff in the video. I'll have a link for you guys and everything so you can see it. But overall, it's some items you've seen me use before, kind of harkening back to the Free Sovereign. But even with a drain build, we're able to get quite a bit with it. I think I was able to, let's see, I'm able to get a minus 53 all power level drain. And the good thing about the Aquarius is I have a lot of flexibility. The only thing I absolutely have to slot is a Commander Tactical. After that, if I wanted to go pure science, I could do it. If I wanted to go pure engineering, I could do it. So if later on I decide, well, I don't really think I need the warp bubble, if I wanted to, I could swap it out and maybe pick up a grav well. So you've got quite a bit of options. Hull-wise, I was able to get it to, and this is the maximum hull this thing has with everything that I've got, is only 50k, which is pretty low in terms of things today. But still a very, very good little ship. Definitely packed a punch. A lot more than I was expecting, to be honest. But if you're looking for a cheap budget tank, it does good. Using Dominion Polarons from the new Link mission. Got your chronometric Polarons, which can be a nice little damage booster as well. From the, I believe it's the, crap, which one is it? Time and Tide mission, I believe. So quite a bit of options there that you've got. But if you're looking for a cheap tank, this is something you might want to consider.
And it's definitely, something to look into, because, it's a different variation. Yeah, he's still got some damage output out there, but it's surviving a lot better than some builds. So if you're worried that, you want to be able to do good damage, but you want to absolutely make for sure you survive. Because some people, when they're learning how to get damage output, they find themselves squishy. Like, I'm too squishy. Well, this is something you can look at where you can still build this to have damage output. You can still upgrade the weapons, upgrade consoles, move a few things around, but at the same time, you're upgrading your survival as well with it, and that way you're not as squishy. Especially once you learn how to pilot it, where your positioning is going to be at, when to activate your abilities. And that's something that I guarantee he's going over in his video, because he wants to make for sure you're seeing when he's activating abilities, where he's positioned to get the most out of it from a damage perspective, but also make for sure that he has plenty of room to get his heals going if need be, or his resistance up if he needs it. So it's just something that, you're going to be able to get damage output from it, yes, but you can make for sure you're surviving what you're getting hit with. Definitely worth looking into, and I'm probably going to figure out another one for him. I think the ultimate challenge we're going to give Chris is tanking in a Peregrine. I think we're going to do that to him. I might do that to him. And, it's a definite challenge. So we'll make him do Infected Space Normal. I think he can tank that with the Peregrine. So, we're looking at that. But like I said, we've got more budget builds coming out. And we might modify the title of this particular segment, because we have things that they might not be budget, but they're definitely worth looking into. That's something me and Artie are working on specifically, and when we have full details on that, we'll let you know. But in the meantime, just enjoy the budget builds as they come out. Which, Chris, you're up again anyway, because guess what? You get to talk about all the bugs.
Yep, I've got a few for us this go around, and if I may say just one quick thing regarding the ship, one reason I did want to do that as well is because I wanted to show that you can make pretty much any ship into something that's going to survive virtually any hit, which I think there's a stereotype out there that just because it's an escort, it can't survive, and I wanted to break that. But going into the bugs this week, I've been doing a lot more console-type bugs, because that's where I've been getting a lot more reports than usual. Not that I'm ignoring the PC players, please don't think that, but there's a few people reporting for PS4 the episode Alpha needs some repairs. This is what this guy's saying, that one of the trapped crew members, or the final one, cannot be freed. Then we have another guy saying that one of the VOD War, not possible in Episode 6, and the Nasordan system. So that's one issue he's saying. Then we've got another guy saying that they've got, on Xbox One, the traits are clearing themselves with certain instances. Now, I know this one was supposed to have been fixed with PC and everything, but if you are seeing any of these issues like this, please let us know. Let me know, let one of the other bug hunters know. Just drop them a message, say, hey, don't Darkblade said, I can report this to you guys, and they're pretty good about that kind of stuff. But, let's see. Another big one that has been a point of contention is there have been people with lockbox ships, like the new Keldon and the new Dreadnought that I wanted to touch on because of how important this is on the console. There was a bug where some people would go to, say, pick the Keldon out of the box, and when they would open it, it would be the Galore. So you're still getting a ship, but you're not getting the T6. Now, they were supposed to have put a patch out to fix that. And for those people, I have heard some people saying that it's still occurring. If it is, definitely let them know. And normally I don't do this, but I have actually a statement that was directly from Salami Inferno on a post, so you can quote him on this. And this is what he says. He says, "Hey everyone, this is an issue we noticed last week when we were looking at some internal data. We applied a server-side fix to the shard, which should be granting the proper T6 ship to people when they win it from a locked box. And anyone that won the ship before we applied the fix had the ship manually added to their inventories. Our QA team is retesting the server-side fix we made to ensure it's still running, and we'll be verifying that we didn't miss any of our previous ship winners with the T6 grant." This is one thing I want people to pay attention to here. Everyone that wins a grand prize ship will get their T6 version as promised, and anyone that didn't will have it granted. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. So if you do see this issue, if it does happen, you are, directly from Salami Inferno quoted, going to get the ship. It may take a little bit for them to verify, hey, this person did indeed win the ship, and they're not trying to rip us off. Not that they don't trust everybody, but you know what I mean. But you are going to get the ship, they are going to get it fixed, and they are aware of the issue. So please be patient, and they may even let you keep the T5, so you may get 2 for the price of 1 in that case. Don't quote me on that particular thing, but you are definitely being looked at as far as getting your T6. So I definitely wanted to make that perfectly clear for everybody. As always, with any bugs, if you see anything, please say something, put it on the forums. If you're a console player, until they give us our console-dedicated forums, then just put something in the description, such as PS4 or Xbox One, and then the title of whatever your issue is. If you can show step-by-step, hey, this is when I'm seeing it, this is an error code I'm getting, that's a lot better, because it lets us bug hunters reproduce it and therefore make better reports to the devs. But overall, that's pretty much some of the major ones I've got this week, and I will pass it back to you fine folks.
Well, glad we know that we got some fixes going on. Yeah, that has been kind of a headache, Chris. It has been. I've seen that in the chat. So it's a good thing that they've answered that. They're making sure people get exactly what they were promised with opening this box. So,
indeed.
Definitely a good thing. Well, let's move on. 2 segments to go, and then we can blow up shit. First off, we're going to go to Teacher's Corner. She is discussing one of the most dreaded consoles of all, plasma explosions. Take it away.
Well, dreaded by the PvPers, that's for sure. This console has been blamed by PvPers for, and I am quoting a comment, making PvP unbalanced and given side players the huge benefit of being overpowered. But in PvP, PvE, sorry, it is an awesome console. It gives you a small chance of having a shield bypassing explosion occur every time you shoot your weapons. So, and they are actually a fairly awesome console, and one that is usually highly recommended for improving your DPS.
Okay.
Sorry, pain attack just started.
Alright.
Ooh.
Well, the details for that are in her video. She goes over it in fairly good detail. So, you want any kind of extra information on them, Watch the video, it's there. Let's move on to our RP corner with Artie. Artie, I'm seeing these notes, and what are you talking about civilian life? What is this?
Okay, so this is a special little thing. I myself have a RPer that is not part of Starfleet, not part of the Klingon Defense Force, not the Republic, nothing like that. Just a civilian bartender. So I've seen some people actually try to do something similar. You know, doing traders, businessmen, merchants, that sort of thing. So my little segment is talking about just general civilian life. Yes, it would still have to be brought up of how your character got there, you know, their little backstory, maybe what they've done over the years. And hell, this could even be extended into not only being like a bartender or something, but a privateer, a bounty hunter, something. It doesn't have to. You don't have to stick with the finite lines of I have. If I'm part of the Federation, I have to be a part of Starfleet. So, I mean, I know most RPers have always known this, but it just having some reassurance, I guess you can say, just to know that that door is there, I guess helps. And to even bring it up with since we're getting K-13 and some new missions and stuff like that coming along, it would make a prime excuse to use those missions as treasure hunting and stuff like that. So there you go.
I like the sound of that. Definitely giving you more options, that's for sure. Yeah. What will your civilian life be like, Artie? Will you still fly the same broken pylon starship?
I funny enough, I would. Because
See, I knew it.
Because I would have an excuse. I salvaged it from one of the Iconian War battlefields. That would be my thing.
And since it's salvaged, you can bridge the gap. Since you don't have a lot of money, you can use like chain link fence, and that'll bridge the gap.
Chain link
do that.
How much EC do you think I have? I have chewing gum and duct tape.
Okay, so you mix the two, you get MacGyver, it makes chain link fence. Problem solved.
There you go.
And you gotta go with some kind of logic.
Well, I'm gonna need a
duct
budget. I'm gonna need a budget build on how to connect my pylon to the rest of my ship.
Oh, we've got you covered there.
Slingshot around the sun, go back to the 1980s, pick up MacGyver, and give him the, what was it, chewing gum and duct tape? And let him do it.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, alright, that's pretty much bringing us to a close. I do want to do a reminder, because next week is not going to be your average show. We're actually going to be broadcasting live the whole day, not for Pilot Review, but Pilot Review next week is going to be part of a charity event that I am spearheading next weekend, where we are going to do a non-stop gaming live stream for the MS Society. So when you're hearing us next week, we're actually going to be part of the charity event, doing our show, and then afterwards, what we're going to do is anybody who's wanting to get maybe some piloting advice, some positioning advice in any map, you know, ISA, Kingdom of Vortex, you're wanting to get some ideas for your builds and all that, we're going to take time after the show while we're on air for this event, and we'll section off with some people, and we'll actually help out people and do live build help. We'll do live piloting help, just to give people that extra boost so we can get back to some of our roots, because that's something that me and Scott were really wanting to do, is get back to having people submit their builds, submit videos of their piloting and positioning to see if we can help them out, because people do pilot differently. And, you know, while there are certain ways for certain ships to make them the best, maybe it doesn't work with how they have their keybinds or how they are piloting. I mean, I just had Midnight Shadow from Triples and Ecstasy. He's finally getting used to a mouse. So, you know, he's used to piloting a different way and using his cameras and all that differently than what I'm used to. because he's getting used to a mouse and keyboard setup. I believe it was a trackpad at one point that he was using for piloting. So, everybody pilots a little different. Everybody has their own setups. We kind of want to go back to our original premise that me and Scott started well over a year ago, working on your piloting and positioning to help you in runs, because that can help you not just with your damage output, it can help you with the survival. It can help you get the best placement for those science abilities. It can get you the best placement just to make sure you get out of the battle intact and keep your deaths to a minimum. So we're going to work on that a little bit. Probably, though, depending on how long our show runs and then that segment goes, probably afterwards, since I'm streaming for more or less close to 2 days straight, we'll probably switch to console or we'll switch to another game. But just be mindful, we are going to be live in the middle of a charity event that's running. So, that's going to be fun. We do have the link to the charity event on the Pilot Review website. I post it every so often out there in Twitter and Facebook. So if you want to donate to the MS Society, you can simply go to the website and donate to that charity. It's worth it. Need all the help they can get crushing MS, because it is a terrible disease that we just need to wipe out. And they've got some good treatments out there and all that, but let's just go ahead and help them slowly but surely get to where we can get rid of this. So that's going to be the big change for next week. I'll probably be very, very tired by the time we're broadcasting, and that's okay, because by the end of it, we'll probably have very tired and loopy SWOTOR going. So just be mindful of that. Submit your builds if you have any questions, you want any help, and don't be shy. It doesn't matter what your build is. If you're wanting to optimize it, you're new to the game, you're new to the console, let's say you're playing console, we can help you there. We got 3 people playing console right now, and we've gotten slowly but surely used to how the mechanics are working there with piloting and positioning. Just give us a ring. We're willing to help out. Until next week, though, Pilot Review, let's sign off and get some sleep. Good night, everybody.
Good night, folks.
See ya.
Peace out, folks.
See ya.